Hello everyone, this is NS Steampunk. We are over in Mount Vernon, Ohio at milepost 91. This was part of the old Sandusky, Mansfield, and Newark Railroad in the early 1850s. It was part of the oldest railroad in Ohio. It later became part of the Baltimore and Ohio Lake Erie trackage division. The Lake Erie local would actually serve this area, switching rail cars in and out from time to time. Served a couple industries in this area. One of them was C.B. Cooper, which was famous for developing steam-powered farm machinery, including their 1853 Cooper locomotive, which was their first wood-fired steam engine. The other was the Mount Vernon Bridge Company, which built bridges for highway as well as railroad bridges, and most of the products were shipped by rail. The other was the Northwestern Elevator and Mill Company, where they had a livestock feed and grain coming in. Boxcars would be shipping in with loaded wheat. Besides the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, there was also the Pennsylvania Railroad that came through Mount Vernon, where they switched the Pittsburgh plate glass as well as Chattanooga glass. And between 1916 and 1917, Pennsylvania Railroad would have 12 trains a day. With the B&O, you'd see about 6 trains. The last passenger train that served this depot was B&O Train 245, which was westbound on June 30th, 1961. What we're looking at here is the Baltimore and Ohio Mount Vernon Depot, which was also part of the C&AC Depot. We're not at the C&AC. This is the B&O Mount Vernon Depot. It was built in 1907. It was purchased from CSX in 2002. The depot first served as a telegraph office, freight, and passenger depot. Renovation began in 2003 and was completed in 2007 for its 100th birthday. The depot is now operated as a rental building for events as well as dinners, and is currently owned by the city of Mount Vernon. I am with Kokosking Valley Railroad, also known as Garrett. Do you have anything you want to say about the depot?
When the depot was finished, we had Ohio Central run this line for a couple of years. So we had a 462 Pacific steam engine that came up here.
That would be Canadian Pacific G5 steam locomotive 1293, now owned and operated by Age of Steam Roundhouse.
They also had two diesel units were up here with PRR Pensy units.
Those would be the, or are you talking about the FP9 locomotives?
Yes,
they were the Canadian National.
They were owned by Age of Steam, and they came up here too.
Well, not technically owned by Age of Steam. They I think they left about 2005, 2006 to go back to Canada.
It was technically owned by
the railroad from the previous administration.
So the station is pretty much all restored. People can come in and visit the depot. There's an insurance, I think it's like a company for helping future Ohioans with housing developments. And the depot has been totally restored. It's still technically a little bit of the museum's history still left in it, but there are technically 2 trains that come here every week.
Yep, it's operated by Ohio Central Railroad's Mount Vernon Turn. Ohio Central is now owned and operated by Genessee Wyoming.
The schedule for each train that comes through is around 9 o'clock in the morning, usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if we were here earlier this morning, we caught the local that was coming in. But north of here, you have 2 mills. One was the original mill. The white building was on fire many, many years ago. The newer mill now, which ran till, I can't remember when they stopped using it, but they used to have about 9 or 10, 20 hoppers over there. This usually holds about 5, 6 hoppers. So big difference in how much capacity when the mills were still in operation. Now they haul it on truck. And Genessee, Wyoming does not want to do the exchange with the track and cars because of how expensive it is to exchange cars out.
Yep. Well, so folks, we're going to take you inside the depot for a little inside tour of what once was.
It's Tuesday right now, so I think
this is the inside of the depot. We got the chandeliers hanging from above the ceiling. We've got a kitchen here. As you can see, there's a lot of work that's been done on the floor. This here is the ticket office where passengers would buy their tickets. The total project to rebuild this building cost $804,435. Let's walk over here towards the baggage portion of the building. This is the old Gambier Street railroad crossing signal. You got the flashing lights up here. So what kind of lights we have? We got the old style crossbucks. The lights here are general, it looks like general signals. These are 8-inch incandescents. This right here is the former relay case, which was the crossing box used to power the railroad lights. The sensor would be down on the rail, which would help power the signals when a train was approaching. The room we are in, this is the baggage depot. This is where the baggage was loaded and unloaded. You got the B&O logo here. Got a restroom. And right over here we have an old but goody steam locomotive number plate off an Alco locomotive built by the Schenectady Works in November 1940. This is an example of a G5 number plate off a Canadian Pacific steam locomotive number 1293, which we just mentioned a little bit earlier in the video. It actually stopped here in 2007 as part of the depot's 100th anniversary. These are pictures of the depot back in its heyday. This here is the display cabinet where you can see railroad artifacts of every kind. These are switch locks, which would be used on the switches back in the days. Baltimore Ohio Railroad timetables. Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad conductor cap. The Q Series 282 Mikado, I believe, if I'm correct. Old bottles and other plates and merchandise. Typewriters before the age of the laptop. Railroad lanterns, paintings, and much, much more.